Today, I'm going to show you how to create a book design template in Photoshop. Hey guys, and welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace, and you can find me on Phlearn.com, where we make learning Photoshop and photography fun. And today's episode is going to be so cool. We're going to show you how to create a book design template and then how to automatically transfer that onto different images of books, so you can actually see what your template design looks like on different books. Then we're going to update our template and have it automatically update on each of the books using place linked objects. Alright guys, it's going to be a fun episode. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So jumping into Photoshop, we've got a couple images of books here. We've got a white and a dark gray, and then here a black book on its side. Now we're going to create a template that basically is going to automatically update on each of these different books, giving us an idea of how it's going to look on different objects. Okay, so to start off, we're just going to hit Controller Command N. We're going to create a new document here. And we're going to go with a width of 2,000 pixels and a height of 3,000. It's about the aspect ratio of the book. Let's go ahead and hit OK and then see what that looks like here. Yeah, you know what? It could be a little bit shorter here. So we're going to hit C for the crop tool, and I'm just going to crop it up just a little bit. There we go. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect. Basically, I want to get just about the same size as what's going on here, here, and here in my document. Okay? Again, you can go ahead and like resize it and scale it once it's actually in place, but you want to get it about the same size. Okay, now for this, basically what I did is I did a little sketch here before today's episode of our book design template. Whenever I'm working in Photoshop or doing design work, I always like to do this by hand first because it just gives me a good idea of like scale and aesthetic, and then I transfer my design into Photoshop. So it's not a very complex design here, but we've got a B in a circle here. It says book design template here, and then a little quote on the bottom. So that's what we're going to be creating in Photoshop in this template. All right, let's go ahead and jump in and create that image. So let's go ahead and create our book design. Now we're going to start off here creating that circle. So I'm going to grab our shape tool. We're going to go to our ellipse tool here, and I'm going to hold Shift. There we go, and create a large ellipse, and we're going to have this be black. Here you can choose your fill color. All right, we could have it fill all kinds of different colors. In this case, we're going to do black. And our stroke color, this is just gives it a little bit of color around the edge. Here we can see. Let me just make that a little bit wider so you guys can see that there. Now, in this case, we're actually not going to use a stroke. So we're going to click here, and I'm going to say no stroke. All right, now we're just going to hit T for the type tool, and let's go ahead and we're going to create a new layer. Click right here in the center, and I'm just going to create a capital B. Okay, now I actually can't see anything because our type is actually black right now, so let's click here. All right, and let's go to white. I'm going to hit F for full screen. It's just going to kind of clear my window and make things a little bit more simple. Okay, so we have our type here. Now I'm going to go to Window and down to Character, just so I have a good idea of what I'm actually working on with my type. Okay, so here you can see we're going to type in Helvetica New Thin, okay? And you can choose your weight here. In this case, I'm going to choose ultra light. We're going to go with a really light typeface. And I'm going to click here on our size. We're just going to make that quite a bit bigger. I want this to be a nice big B right there in the center. Okay, now we're going to use our move tool here, maybe a little bit bigger. Cool. That looks pretty good. So using our move tool, we can try to place it in the center, but the best way to do this is just to shift click both our type layer here and our circle. Hold down Shift and click on both of those to select them, and then click on your move tool and you have your alignment options up here at the top. So we're going to align this vertically and horizontally. All right, cool, that looks good. Now let's hit Controller Command G. We're going to group those together. I'm going to hit Command T for our transform, and I'm just going to rotate that to the side, maybe make it a little bit smaller. There we go. And we're just going to kind of put it off to the side there. Again, I'm going off of my initial design that kind of has this B in the circle off to the side there. All right, cool. So now we have book design template. So let's hit just T for the type tool. I'm going to type in book here. Okay, book, and we want our color here to be black in this case. So let's go ahead and make that quite a bit smaller. All right, our font weight here, let's go down to Let's go down to medium. There we go. Have this just be a little bit smaller. And this is just like the design phase. Obviously, this is like a pretty quick example here of doing design work in Photoshop. When it comes to actually creating your real design, you'll want to spend a little bit more time. Okay, so we have book. I'm going to hit Control or Command J to duplicate that type. Double click in here and call this design. All right, we're going to change our weight of that to, let's go light, let's go down to thin. That looks good there. So we have book design. All right, let's shift click the two of those and, all right, there we go. And you know what? I think this guy could be a little bit smaller and a little bit more to the left. I just want to make sure we've got enough space here for our book design. Okay, now you can see because these are separate layers here, they're not aligned also. So let's go ahead and align those. Shift click the two of those and then align those on the horizontal centers. There we go. Cool, that looks good. Let's go ahead and move design over just a little bit. All right, we're going to duplicate that, and now we're going to type in template here. So we have book design template. Okay, now for this, I want to change our font weight to ultra light, and we're going to bring up our spacing in between each of our letters. It's called tracking. So let's go ahead and bring that up to 200. And basically, my goal here is I want my tracking to basically span the width of my entire like book and design. So 200 is not enough. Let's type in 250. All right, still not enough. Let's type in 280. All right, that's pretty close. So now that we've got this pretty close to where we want it, there we go. I'm going to hit Command T and hold down the Shift key, and we're just going to scale that down just a little bit. There we go. So we have book design template here. All right. I think that looks all right. It's not perfect. It's not the best thing ever made, but it's totally okay. So let's shift click the three of those and hit Command G. And now that's going to be one group. Let's go ahead. Maybe we'll make this a little bit smaller and move this right over here. So that's a decent start, guys. We've created basically the first part of our book design template. So now we're ready to go ahead and apply that to our images of books. And we're going to do that using a linked smart object. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. So what we've got here is our book design, and I want this to be visible here on both the white version, the dark version, and on this version, which is actually in perspective. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and save this out as a PSD or a TIFF, because we're going to place this as a linked smart object in both of these. Okay, so let's go to File, down here to Save As. All right, and we're just going to call this book design template. There we go. Now, we're saving this out as a TIFF, which has layers. Okay, that's really important here. Now, when you're using this, like your design template, basically you want to use a PSD or a TIFF. Anything that has layers so you can start like moving them and working them around. You can save this out as a JPEG also, but then you won't be able to edit what's going on in the JPEG. So we recommend a TIFF or a PSD for this. Okay, so we've got book design template.tiff. Let's go ahead and save that out. All right, and hit OK. Now the cool part comes in. So we're going to go ahead and get this design into our different images. So to do so, just go to File, down to Place Linked, okay, and then choose your book design. In this case, we're just going to click there and hit Place. All right, so now what I need to do is go ahead and get it to be about the right scale. So I'm going to align this with the top right corner here of my actual book. You can see I need to make it smaller, right? So I'm going to hold the Shift key and click and drag till it gets a little smaller. Now if you don't get this right your first go round, it's not a big deal. You can always transform it later. All right, there we go, and hit Enter. Now I'm going to hit F for full screen and just zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're doing just a little bit better. All right, so we've got it here on one side. Let's go ahead and put it over here as well. So let's go to File, down to Place Linked, our book design template. There we go. And hold down the Shift key and make that right about there. And then just bring this right up. All right. Cool. Looking good. Now, this looks great, except for our book design template completely covers both of the books, right? And that's because in our template here, the original guy, we have a white background, okay? So it's displaying the white background on our books. So let's go to our book design template. Now, because we used a linked smart object, basically anything that you edit on your original document, in this case it's our template, if you make an edit and then save that out, it's going to automatically update on all of your linked objects. So let's go ahead and show you guys how that works. So here's our original. Any change I make here, okay, let's go ahead and bring this up a little bit. I'm going to hit Control or Command S to save that, and you're going to see it's automatically going to update on both of those. If I bring this down a little bit, Control or Command S to save that, it's going to update there as well. So it gives you a good idea of not only, what does it look like here, but what does it look like in a little bit more of a real world setting. Okay, now in this case we want to make our white background. Let's go ahead and make that invisible, and let's go ahead and save that out. Save that out, and you can see now, there we go. Basically we can't see our white background. Now in this case, one of these books actually had a white background to begin with, so that's why it shows up there. But in our other one, we can now see through the book. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to continue working. I want to place it on this document as well. So F for full screen. Okay, we're going to go to File, down to Place Linked. Again, Book Design Template. So we're placing the same linked object with all of these. All right, now we're going to rotate this around. There we go. We want it to look like it's on the cover here. And now we get to work in perspective, which is kind of fun. So we're going to go to the top left corner there. Okay, I'm basically using that as my anchor point. So the top left corner, we're going to put it right about there. Okay, now I'm going to take my little control point here in the center. Now our control point, this changes where things rotate. So if I put it right there, it's going to rotate from there. If I put it here, it's going to rotate from there. Okay, let's go ahead and put this in the corner there and rotate that into place. All right, that looks great. Now, what I want to do is scale and transform our smart object so it actually places in place with the rest of my book. So to do that, just hold Control or Command and click on any of these corners. So you can see when I hold Control or Command, I've got a little white arrow there. So if I click there, I can simply drag it to this corner. There we go. And I'm going to click on this one and drag it to that corner. There we go. And when I'm done transforming, just hit Enter. All right, cool. So now I've got the same exact design here on 3 different devices. So you can see as I move around, let's go ahead and move our B up a little bit, hit Control or Command S, and it's going to save on all 3 of these, even in perspective, which is really cool. Okay, so we're looking decent right now. The thing that I don't really like here, this is okay, but I don't like that this is a white B, okay, on the rest of this document here. I wish this was cut out instead of just being white. So what we're going to do is on our original document here, okay, we have a white B, but instead of having this white B here, what we're going to do is hold Control or Command to click on this and turn it into a selection, okay? So Control Command, click on a layer, that'll turn it into a selection. So now we have this as a selection. Now I'm going to click on my layer mask and hold Alt or Option and click on my layer mask. Sorry, we're going to click on our circle and then add it as a layer mask. Okay, so basically what we did is just took that white B and converted it to a layer mask on our circle. All right, let's hit Control or Command S and save that out. And there we go. So you can still see a bit of a cutout here. There we go. But instead of being white, it just shows what's underlying. All right, now that's cool. Now in this case, I can't even see what's going on at all. So what we're going to do, we have our placed object, okay? So anything that I do here, again, is going to automatically update here. But I can actually add layer effects on my linked object here. Okay, to do that, just double click on your book design template, all right, right here on the layer. Now I'm going to go to color overlay. There we go, and we'll choose a gray. Let's just choose a little bit lighter. All right, hit OK and OK. So now anything that I do here, it is going to automatically update. Let's go ahead and show you how that works. So it automatically updates. Just move that up. Command S to save that out. Okay, but because we have a color overlay here, let's do the same thing over here. We have a color overlay. There we go. It's going to apply that as well. So we'll put a color overlay there. All right. Very cool. So let's go ahead and move this out, move it around. Command S to save, and we're good. By now, we've created our template, and we've automatically updated it on our different documents. And we've showed you how to use layer effects like a color overlay to change the color on different linked objects. So I've got 3 different objects. Now let's go ahead and start editing our original document to get it in place, just how we want it, and then we can automatically save and update it on all 3 of our books. So this template looks okay. In both of these examples, I can't really read the book design template very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control-Command-T here. We're just going to make our B a little bit smaller, all right, and move that over. Now I want to make the text here, just a little bit bigger. All right, so I can read it a little bit better. Command S to save that, and it's going to automatically save it on all of our designs. All right, now this template here, the Word template, it kind of competes for space with book design. So let's click there. I'm going to go to Window and down to Character. All right, and then I just want to make this a little bit smaller. So we're going to make the word there smaller. Let's go ahead and change the weight of that. There we go. Command S to save that out. So you can see template, I can read it now, but I would like it spaced out even more. So we're going to adjust our tracking here just a little bit more. All right, just 800, let's try 780. All right, and save that out. So now we've got a template that kind of spans out there. And our design, I think we can take the weight up and bring that up just a little bit. So book design template. All right, that looks great. Now, you know what? I do actually want that B to be a little bit bigger. So maybe we'll bring that up and just have it. I don't want to compete with space too much here. There we go. Maybe a little bit smaller. So you can see as I'm kind of like designing this, the coolest thing is I'm able to see every time I hit Command S for save, I'm able to see this automatically update on all of my different designs. Okay? So you can get a really good idea. Now, in this case, I'm using 3 different books, right? But if you had like business cards, there we go, like a web page, things like that, you could use this to design different elements. There we go. You could use this to design different elements of like an entire portfolio. Cool. We can see what that looks like above. Hit Command S. And then get a good idea of how this looks across different objects. All right, cool. I think that looks all right. Let's make this just a little bit smaller. All right, cool. Now, obviously, when you're actually like, trying to design something for real, spend a little bit more time on it. But in this case, I think we're looking pretty good. All right, book design template. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to take this design. We're going to just hit Control or Command J on that. All right, bring this up to the top here. Okay, so we've got a copy of design. Let's go ahead and bring that down. And we're going to say, judge it by the cover. Because it's kind of funny. All right, let's go ahead and make our text a little bit smaller. All right, hit Command S so we can read it. There we go. Make that a little bit smaller and go ahead and right justify that. All right, needs to be a little bit smaller still. I'm just looking like spacing wise, like how does it compete with the rest of what's going on here? And let's see, let's go ahead and bring up our font weight a little bit so I can read it. All right, make sure it's aligned by the right side. And then let's go ahead and duplicate this and just say author. All right, and we'll change the weight of that to, let's try bold here on the right. I'm going to shift click the 2 of those and right align them. Okay, hit Command G, go ahead and group that and save that out. Cool, and maybe we'll bring that up just a little bit. Judge it by the cover. All right. And then you know what, template here, I just want that to be a little bit, there we go. I want it to be a little bit more, bringing the weight a little bit more. So go from ultralight to light. All right, and then you know what? Maybe book, we'll even change this to bold. All right, so book design template, and we'll bring template down a little bit. So it's kind of cool. I'm basically editing here, but I'm seeing it update across multiple devices. And for design reasons, you know, it's actually really nice because you might have something that you really like, you know, in one color way or one location, but then you go ahead and start like printing it out and putting it in different areas, and it doesn't really look as good as you thought it did. So in this, I'm able to basically make my changes, hit save, and automatically see the updates on all of our different documents, which is so cool. And this guy here, everything that I'm doing, because I created the color overlay here, okay, and I scaled it into perspective, everything that I'm doing here automatically updates in perspective with a color overlay, which I think is just so cool. All right, let's take this B, there we go, and take this guy, and let's say I want to make this red. Let's click here. All right, we'll go to our shape, our fill color. Now we're going to choose red, okay? Hit Command S to save this out. So you can see it updates to red here, but in these areas, okay, it's not going to update to red. And the reason is because we have these color overlays, okay? So remember, these color overlays will affect how things actually appear on your different objects. So you can see that the red is there, okay? But because we color overlaid that entire area, that's what we're seeing here. Okay, so if you want to get around that, let's go ahead and turn our color overlay off. Okay, let's create a new layer right above that, and then I can just make a selection on my new layer like that. We're going to fill that. I'm going to hit Shift Delete, and we're going to fill that with white in this case. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Option Command G to clip that to our layer. All right, and we can do the same thing here. So there are a lot of different things you can do here, guys. I'm just trying to show you like the versatility of creating your templates in this way. All right, let's use our lasso tool. We'll use our polygonal lasso tool. There we go. On our new layer, we're going to fill that with white and clip that as well. All right, cool. And there we have our book design template, and still anything that I adjust here as far as my size and weight, let's go ahead and bring that up just a little bit. All right, you're going to see it's automatically going to update on every single one of our documents, which I think is really, really cool. All right, guys, and that's how we create a book design template in Photoshop. Now, if you want to download this actual template that we created in this episode, just go to phlearn.com/book. If you want to do this on your own, just follow these key steps. First, start off with a couple of images of products that you want to put your design on. In this case, we used books, which was relatively simple. It had a flat cover. So we used 2 different images of 3 different books. Then we go ahead and create a new document. In this case, we just want it to be about the size of our books. We started off with a width of 2,000 and a height of 3,000. Next, it's time to actually create your design in Photoshop. I highly recommend starting off with a sketch. It'll give you a really good idea of spacing and size. That way you can work on your sketch and bring that into Photoshop. In this case, we used a giant B in a circle, and a book design template, and then a little blurb on the bottom by the author. Now, when you're ready to get your design onto different images, simply save it out as a TIFF or a PSD. These are both layered files. Then click on your image and go to File, down to Place Linked, navigate to the image you just saved, and hit Enter. Go ahead and scale and transform the file into place. You might need to make it a little larger or a little smaller. In this case, we actually added perspective as well. Hold down Control or Command and click on each one of the corners of your template, and you can warp it into perspective. From there, we made changes to our original design template and hit Save. It automatically updates on all of our images. Now, if you want to change the color of your design on different objects, you can use layer effects like color overlay, or you can create a new layer above the design, simply fill in whatever color you want, and then hit Option Command G to clip it to that design. Thanks so much for watching today's episode, guys. I hope you learned how to create and use templates in Photoshop. That Place Linked Objects really is one of my favorite tools in Photoshop. If you love Photoshop like I do, go ahead and click on your screen right about now. We'll send you free Photoshop and photography videos every single week. And if you have an idea for an episode or a question or comment about today's episode, just leave it in a comment right down below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much, guys. I'll Phlearn you later. Bye, everyone. First, start off with a few images. Of the products. From there we made changes to our original design. This is all there is to it.